My father, John, used to say that true wealth isn't something you can hold in your hand. I didn't understand that as a boy. All I understood was the taste of watered-down soup, a flavor so thin it was more memory than meal. It was the taste of the Great Depression. The hunger wasn't a sharp pain. It was a dull, constant ache in your belly, a quiet friend that never left your side. It was there when you woke up, and it was there when you went to sleep on a mattress stuffed with old rags. You learned to walk a certain way carefully, so the worn-through cardboard lining your shoes would last another day. When it rained, you felt the cold seep of the pavement through the holes in your soles. That feeling was a constant reminder of what you didn't have. Through all of this, my father was a quiet man. He didn't talk much about our troubles. He just worked, his hands calloused and cracked, his face etched with a tiredness that went deeper than his bones. He moved through our small, cold rooms with a steadiness that felt like the only solid thing in the world. That whole time, the air itself felt heavy with worry. You could see it on the faces of the men standing in lines for bread, in the tired eyes of mothers trying to stretch a single potato into a meal for four. It was an era of having nothing. I remember one evening my father came home with a small loaf of bread and a single can of beans. It was a treasure, a feast. My mother was just about to open the can when there was a soft knock at the door. It was our neighbor, a widow with two small children, her face pale and her eyes full of shame. She had nothing. My father said not a word. He simply walked to the cupboard, took the loaf of bread, and cut it cleanly in half. He handed one half and the can of beans to the woman. She started to cry, but he just gave a small nod and gently closed the door. That night, we ate our half-loaf of bread, and I learned that generosity was a currency all its own. You see, hardship doesn't build character, it reveals it. When everything is stripped away, when the pressure is on, that's when you see what a person is truly made of. It's a powerful, sometimes frightening truth. In those desperate years, you saw it all. Some folks hoarded what little they had, their doors bolted and their hearts closed. But others, like my father, they shared. They understood that the only way to survive was together. Their wealth was measured in the trust of their neighbors. I remember another time, my father was fixing a man's only pair of work boots. He was handy with leather, and he spent hours stitching the worn soles back together. When he finished, the man pulled out his very last dime and offered it. My father gently pushed his hand away. He told him, "A dime won't fix my hunger tonight, but your ability to walk to work tomorrow might feed us both someday." My father's integrity wasn't just for show. It lived in the quiet, unseen moments. I remember him finding a wallet on the street, thin and worn, with only a few dollars inside. There was no hesitation in his mind. He spent half the day tracking down the owner, a man who had even less than we did. When he returned it, the man was speechless. My father just gave a simple nod. That quiet act was his compass, always pointing toward what was right, no matter how hard the path. Then there was the wealth he built from respect. This was a currency he spent freely, and I saw it most clearly in the bread lines. Those were long, silent lines of men who felt they had lost everything. The air itself felt heavy with shame. But my father walked differently among them. He didn't offer pity, because he knew they didn't want it. He offered something far more valuable. He would look each man directly in the eye, a simple gesture that was rare in those days of downcast gazes. And he would speak their names. He made it a point to know them. He would offer a warm greeting to Charlie, or ask after Mr. Henderson's family. In a world that was trying to make them invisible, my father's simple recognition was a lifeline. He was telling them, without saying a word, that they were still somebody, that their name still mattered, that they were more than their misfortune. This wasn't an act of charity. It was a profound act of honoring their humanity. He was giving them back a piece of their own dignity, a treasure that no amount of money could ever purchase. It cost him nothing at all, and yet it was worth everything. That was a kind of capital I would never forget. Watching these moments as a boy shaped my entire life. These quiet displays of courage were the lessons that stuck with me. They became the bedrock of my own understanding of what it means to be a person in this world. Because of him, I have never been able to measure another person by the size of their wallet. That idea just doesn't make any sense to me. A person's true worth is etched in their character, a lesson I learned not from a book, but from watching a good man live his life. And this gets to the very heart of what he meant about wealth. Money is just a tool. It comes and it goes. It's like trying to hold water in your hands. But character, that's different. Character is the foundation. It's the solid ground you build your entire life upon. You see, these things my father believed in: generosity, integrity, and respect. They weren't separate items on a list. They were woven together, like threads in a strong piece of cloth. You couldn't pull one out without weakening the others. This was the fabric of a person's character, the only thing that truly held its value when everything else was gone. It wasn't a philosophy he read in a book. It was a survival guide written on the heart. For his generation, this was the real currency. It decided who you could trust, who would help you, and who you could count on when the cold winds blew. It was a wealth that grew when you shared it, and it kept the community from falling apart. I remember him just nodding at a neighbor, a man who had lost his farm. It wasn't a nod of pity. It was a nod of shared strength, a silent promise that said, "We are still here. We are still men of worth." In that quiet moment, a fortune of respect was exchanged, more valuable than any dollar. Watching him, I understood. True wealth isn't something you count. It's something you build inside yourself. It's the foundation you stand on when the ground beneath you is shaking. It's the quiet certainty that no matter what you lose, you can never lose who you are. And it makes you wonder about that entire generation. Their resilience was incredible, a quiet, unbreakable strength that saw them through the darkest of times. It's a strength we talk about, but I'm not sure we fully understand it. And that leads to a deep question I've carried with me my whole life. Was that incredible strength a product of the Great Depression? Did the hardship itself forge them into steel? Or did the hardship simply reveal a strength that was already there, deep inside them all along? If the pain was the cause, it means that even the worst struggles can create something of profound value. It suggests that character is hammered into shape on the anvil of suffering. A tough but hopeful thought. But if the strength was already there, that's a different idea entirely. It means that deep within the human spirit there is a reserve of goodness and resilience that hard times cannot create or destroy. They can only strip away everything else, leaving that true character exposed for all to see. The honest truth is, I don't have the answer. I don't think anyone does. It remains one of the great and beautiful mysteries. It's a question that connects us to them, a shared wonder at the power of the human heart to endure. But maybe the answer doesn't matter as much as the lesson. The source of their strength may be a mystery, but the strength itself was real. It was a fact. And knowing that such resilience is possible, well, that is a kind of wealth all its own. That kind of wealth, the wealth of character, it doesn't announce itself. It's a quiet strength. It's the feeling you get when you know you've done the right thing, even when no one was watching. It's a legacy passed down not in a will, but in the memory of a good name and a steady hand. You can't spend it at a store, but you can build a life on it. It becomes the ground beneath your feet when everything else is shaking. This is the foundation my father gave me. It wasn't land or stocks. It was a blueprint for being a good man. He showed me that what you build inside yourself, your honesty, your compassion, is the only thing that truly weathers the storms of life. Everything else is just temporary. Chasing after only money is like trying to catch the wind in a net. You can spend your whole life running, and at the end of it, all you have is an empty net and tired legs. The world is full of people who gained a fortune but lost themselves along the way. They have everything, and yet they have nothing that matters. But when you build your life on a foundation of integrity, it's different. That's a structure that can't be knocked down by a bad economy or a bit of bad luck. It's a home for your soul. It's the one thing that is truly yours, forever. And this brings me to a deep truth about getting through hard times. Resilience isn't about bouncing back to who you were before the trouble started. That's impossible. True resilience is about letting the hardship carve you into someone stronger, someone wiser. You don't go back. You go forward, changed for the better. Think of it like an old tree in a storm. The wind howls and the branches bend, and some might even break. But the roots, they dig deeper. The tree doesn't just survive the storm, it grows stronger because of it. That's how my father's generation faced their struggles. I remember watching him come home after a long day of looking for work, his shoulders heavy. He never brought the weight of his worries into our home. He'd sit at the table, and a quiet calm would settle over the room. I didn't understand it then, but I felt it. I felt safe. As a boy, I just saw my father, a quiet, gentle man. Looking back now with the eyes of an old man, I see a hero. His greatest battles weren't fought on a field with a weapon. They were fought in the quiet moments of despair, with courage and dignity as his only shields. His small acts of kindness didn't earn him a dime. Sharing a piece of bread or mending a neighbor's tool for free didn't fill his pockets. But it created something far more valuable. It wove a fabric of trust and community that helped everyone get through. It built a world where people looked out for one another. And that's the beautiful mystery of it all. The things you give away, your time, your kindness, your help, those are the only things that truly become yours. They build your character. They become your legacy. They are the truest wealth you will ever own.